Folks, it all comes down to this. We're here. Cave 147 of 147 is just down that way. I saved this one for last, because here, in the previous video game, Breath of the Wild, this was kind of one of my favorite places in the game. This was... Spent a lot of time talking to my friend Ryan about how Breath of the Wild was a game that really could have benefited from some more caves, and you kind of had to do your best to find whatever cave spaces you could, and this was one that I remember being very tickled by, where you have this, like, beautiful, like, kind of little used cove in the game, and this big natural shelf with a big cave-like area. And I honestly did not know until fussing around with it just now if there was a full-on cave over here, or if this was going to be one of those ones where I'm like, this should have been a cave. And spoilers, there's a cave over here, but check out this area. This is so good. This is, like, genuinely, I think this is my favorite spot of the entire game. There were not trees harrowing us in the last game. That's a new addition. I don't think I got anything out of that. I guess the lizard's useful. But yeah, check this out. Look how beautiful this is. Look how beautiful this is. This is like the essence of what made Breath of the Wild good, is that they spent a lot of time crafting a really big world out of, you know, a fairly robust palette, but often a kind of limited palette. Like, nothing here is anything you haven't already seen in the Hyrule Field sections of the game. There's water, there's rocks, there's grass, there's... I guess those trees are... No, those trees are pre-existing. But you just put it in a weird, cool configuration. You can run around it, and it's gorgeous. I love this place. Okay. Does this place have a name? Not really. Okay, that's fine. Bloopy's there. We're not gonna bug Bloopy. We're gonna let Bloopy just relax today. Yeah, but just this big gallery. Love this place. Love this place wholeheartedly. Bloopy, show me where your thing's at. Oh, no, he did not. Is this gonna be a... This is probably a bad guy. This is a bad guy. Okay, we get to fight a Talus today also, I guess. I wasn't specifically... Oh, and it's one of the bad Taluses. I hate when the Taluses do this. Okay. And I'm ill-equipped. Loshlo Harbor, I guess is what they consider this. Thanks, thanks, thanks. Let's cheat. Let us cheat. See, but then I can't hit that unless I use my really good item. No. It's just the, like, the worst configuration of Talus here. Oh god. I brought this upon myself. There we go. Okay. I think in the previous game, in lieu of a Talus, there's a Hinox here. The perennial problem with this game of we just kind of shifted everything around. This is not new information. Everybody knows this. Let's just use this good weapon the rest of the time. Love it. Doesn't stop me from enjoying this locale, though. Love this place. Love this place. But here is a new cave entrance. Just hanging out. Oh, this seems like a bad idea. Worth it. Worth it, worth it, worth it. I have so little hearts. It's very funny. I'm pretty sure I have a Mountain of Fairies, so... Okay. Just chill for a second. Just chill for a second. No, not great. Not great. Bad showing. Okay. I want that. I want all of the things. Come on, video game. I want that steak. Not a very good steak. I want that. And that gem just goes tossed away. Oh, I got a ruby out of it, though. Okay, further down. To, water, apparently. There's rock that way. There's more cave that way. I'm going that way. Oh, there's a piece of topaz way down in the water. That's fine. But yeah, we've come into the end of the line here. I don't remember exactly when I decided this was going to be the last cave, but this has been, in my mind, the last cave for a while. And I'm very glad that they turned this into a full thing. It would have been more sour of a note if I had gotten over here and they did not put a cave in the place where they really should have put a cave, but they did. On some level, me and the devs understand each other pretty well, I think. I wish I could look up who worked on the caves, but I know that's, like, not how anybody would, like, credit somebody. It's not like there's one dev who's cave guy. Skeleton even. I'm sure it's many. Rock. I'll take those. We need to get up there. But everything is slippery, so we're gonna do it the classic way. I feel like if they made a third one of these, you'd really have to sit and figure out what interactions are the most common, and then you can, like, prune out some of the abilities that you use less, right? Because, like, recall is something I've barely ever used in this game. It's got a couple uses, but... And I know I've seen some very creative uses of it on the internet, of people doing, like, intense hijinks. No, I want that shield, though. I've earned that shield. I have 7 of that shield. Okay. Where was I going with this? Oh, yeah, recall. It has, like, its uses, and it's got its weird quirks and stuff, but... Meanwhile, the Ultra Hand is now, like, a baked-in part of what Zelda games do now? To the extent that it was in Echoes of Wisdom. Oh, my bow broke finally. So, like, whatever comes next, you're gonna be able to manipulate objects in the environment to some extent. Probably. For better or worse, I don't know. I feel like being able to move objects around does kind of, like, as a verb in the game, does kind of overpower a lot of what else is going on, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the case. But anyway, oh, I forgot that he's got to throw rocks at me first. Thinking about how often in this game I am just using... How many button presses? Let me see. Hold on. I need to grab this. We're gonna... Oh. It's that button, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or more if I'm gonna go over here. So just throw a fireball. It's a lot for a verb that in previous games didn't necessarily require that much effort. To throw a fireball, to throw an ice shot, to create a platform. Though maybe I'm being a little ungenerous, because I know there's a lot of really bad menuing in older Zelda games too, right? Link to the Past, every time you did it, you had to do that, and then the menu, I was hoping it was going to do it for some reason, despite the fact that that's not how that works. But, like, the menu does drop down entirely, so you can move over to the boomerang and grab the boomerang. I think sometimes I forget that I play a lot of that game in the randomizer situation where they just added the ability to toggle through Z and R to, like, get your items quicker. And even Ocarina of Time, I think, also has some bad clunky menuing, such that eventually they had to, like, fix iron boots to make that something that was less obnoxious. So, I guess I need to be a little more generous and say that, like, yeah, there's plenty of clunky menuing happening in other Zelda games as well. Anyway, thinking about specifically the verbs you have access to in these games, and how the verbs we have here are an extension of a refinement of sorts of the ones in the previous game, and how with more iteration you can kind of narrow in on which ones are good and which ones maybe need to be a little more streamlined. And I think that maybe in the next iteration of something like this, we will see a return to maybe a more dungeon item situation where you just have a fire rod and an ice rod. And you aren't menuing like crazy. But it also depends on how resource intensive the next game is, in the sense of like, collecting resources, because that's been a slow uptick over time. Where, I guess if you go as far back as Wind Waker, you started to have, like... What's down there? Mundane enemy drops, your joy pendants and such. That was a novel idea for the series when Wind Waker came out, because that just generally wasn't how the game operated. And trying to remember, I don't think you saw much of that in Twilight Princess. Didn't really have that, but Skyward Sword extremely did, as well as Link Between Worlds, where you started to see more mundane drops, which culminates in this system of, I have 7,000 materials. And, where am I going with this thought? And so we have this very intricate system. You know, previous game, you just had all this stuff for the sake of upgrading items, and now you have it for the sake of you can use it to augment attacks. But ultimately, there's only so many of those that are useful immediately, and so I wonder how much we'll see a reversion in the next iteration of this type of Zelda game. Hi. And they will tone down some of that. Oh, it's gonna drown in a puddle. Can I have the stick? Thank you. And we'll see less of... How do I... There we go. Less of this and more of like, oh, okay, we know that people really like the Keese Eyeball. People really like the bomb arrows. People really like narrow it down to 6 or 7 choices instead of a zillion choices. When a lot of those choices are just like not at all relevant. I think we'll end up somewhere like that. There's still definitely going to be like collecting resources for food and stuff. I mean, literally we just had Echoes of Wisdom where you're collecting those resources to get health items. Where are you? Are you a crab? You're a lizard. Okay. We're here. This is... I ran into this cave already once and realized that they connect. This is another original cave. What we have here is a cave where they connected 2 original caves together. They saw an original cave on either side. I'm pretty sure this is an original cave. At some point I'm gonna have to borrow my brother's copy of Breath of the Wild again to double check. But this, I think you used to be able to go in there and there were just some rocks, but then they opened it up. So then you have a cave, that 2 original caves that are now connected, which is my favorite stuff in the world. You all know this, presumably. If you've come through and watched every single one of these, thank you. I hope that you got something out of it. As usual, with the projects I end up doing for public consumption on the internet, I try and be very low effort. And I make no promise that every individual piece of the project will be as impactful as the other. But I think that I had fun doing it, and I think there's a lot of good stuff that came out of this. So thank you. Appreciate y'all. I still fundamentally think the caves are the best thing in this game. Having played all of this game again and done all of the nonsense, I guess there's still a little bit of nonsense left. I got a little bit more of this game left in me, but I suppose we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, having engaged with this game again and seen a much higher percentage of it than the last time I got through this game, I feel very confident in saying that the caves are just where the best stuff is. This is the best the game has to offer. This is the best of... Breath of the Wild is a game that had a lot of promise and a lot of good, and the sequel takes it in a bunch of different directions. Many of those directions just don't land, right? Nothing in the Sky Isles is as good as anything here. Nothing in a different area is as good as anything here. All the new systems are extremely intricate and extremely polished, but also are so handheld that are so restricted that they just they're not fun a lot of the time. Sometimes they're fun, but sometimes it's just aggravating. And so here's where the fun is. Here's the space in these games where the designers were just kind of able to just do novel things. They're not beholden to any one system or another. They can pull in different systems, working with this limited palette, and truly just created some of the best stuff in this game. And I'm just really happy that my original thesis of this project bore out, and I was correct, because I've had a really good time playing through all these games and showing them all to you. I'm gonna activate the shrine. This is the last shrine in the game also. I didn't mean to plan it this way, where we were gonna end on going into a shrine. But that's exciting. I guess thank y'all again, and there is one more thing in this game that we should check out, so we'll have to look forward to that for tomorrow. And we'll see you next cave.